Welcome back to Designed for More. Over the past few episodes, we've walked through the felt sense of alignment for each energy type. So that included what it looks like, what it feels like, and how it unfolds when we trust our design. And now we're going to shift into integration because we don't always feel aligned, do we? Sometimes what shows up instead are the signals of misalignment. And I'm talking about those emotions that whisper or sometimes shout that something's off. And so today we're going to talk about those signals, or more specifically, the four not self themes of human design, which are frustration, bitterness, anger, and disappointment. So before we dive in, I want you to hear something clearly. These emotions are not flaws. They're not evidence that you're broken or failing because you're angry. They're part of your design and therefore they're divine. They're like built-in feedback loops that point you back toward alignment. So maybe you can actually also think of them like sacred road signs on the journey of life. So when you feel frustration, bitterness, anger, or disappointment, depending on your energy type, it's literally the universe holding up a sign, like that guy we see in so many memes on social media saying, "This way is blocked, try another path." Now, of course, we have free will, so we can choose any decision, any path we like. But some are going to be the path of least resistance, and some are not. So we have all of this built-in feedback, this beautiful literal communication loop from the universe. Or if you prefer another metaphor, think of them like, okay, we'll still be on the road. We're gonna go with cars. Think of them like dashboard lights on your car. When the check engine light comes on, it doesn't mean that the car is useless. It just means the car is asking you to pay attention. So let's explore these signals together, shall we? Even if you're not the energy type we're talking about in a given section, I really invite you to listen in to the whole thing because these signals show up in the people we live with, that we lead. And when we understand not just our own, but theirs too, well, we become better partners, better parents, better leaders, and better friends. So let's start with the energy type that most of the world will resonate with because generators and manifesting generators simply just make up the largest portion of our population, coming in at around 70%. So if you are a generator or a manifesting generator, frustration is the feeling that tells you you're out of alignment. And I know this feeling so well in my own body. It's like having all of this energy inside you, this buzzing, restless, almost wanting to rip your skin off energy, because there's nowhere satisfying to put it when we're in misalignment. It's like having the power to go, but no inspiration, no spark. It's like being revved up, but stuck in neutral. So, okay, let's continue with those car analogies. So picture a race car engine revving at full speed while the car itself is stuck in park. The energy is there. It's loud, it's intense, it's almost unbearable, but the vehicle isn't moving in the right direction. And that's frustration. Frustration shows up when you're pouring your life force into things that don't genuinely light you up. When you say yes to something that's really a no. When you're moving from obligation, from pressure, or from proving, instead of responding from the gut. So think about a time, for example, that maybe you stayed in a job because it was safe. I don't know anything about that. Or kept a commitment because you didn't want to let somebody down. On the outside, you were doing the right thing. But inside, frustration might have grown like a knot in your stomach. A sense of stuckness and frustration doesn't just live quietly inside you. No. Remember, generators and manifesting generators are sacral beings. Your aura is enveloping, which means everyone around you feels what you're generating, and you're generating at all times. So when you're lit up, you're generating joy and satisfaction that ripples into the room. But when you're frustrated, well, that energy ripples too, and it can feel heavy, irritable, and even contagious. So let's reframe this, okay? Frustration is not laziness. It's not weakness. It's sacred information. It's your sacral saying, nope, this isn't it. You're spending your precious life force energy of this wild, beautiful life on something that doesn't match your joy or that's not igniting your joy. It's that feeling like when you just don't want to do something, almost like a child, you feel almost childlike. And that's just your sacral saying, yeah, it's right. You don't want to do it. So when frustration shows up, it's not a reason to beat yourself up. It's just a reason to pause, to come back to your body and to ask, what am I saying yes to where I really mean no? And what would instead feel satisfying here? Where is my gut leading me now? And if frustration is a signal for generators and manifesting generators, then bitterness is a signal for projectors. And bitterness can often feel like resentment, actually, like no one sees me, no one appreciates what I have to give. It's this heaviness that creeps in when you're giving so much of yourself, but it feels like it's landing flat and unrecognized. And that makes sense because projectors are here to guide, to see deeply, to name truths that others can't see. But when that gift isn't recognized or when you try to force it on people who aren't ready, it backfires. So instead of feeling successful, which is your signature of alignment, you feel bitter. Bitterness can sound like, why am I always the one who sees the problem but no one listens? Or why am I doing so much for everyone and getting nothing back? It can feel sharp and even acidic, and it builds when your recognition isn't met. Imagine being a projector offering, and maybe you can imagine this, but imagine offering endless advice to a friend who never asked for it, or pushing yourself to keep up with sacral beings, overworking to prove that you're valuable. And the outcome of that is exhaustion, resentment, bitterness. But bitterness isn't proof that you're too sensitive. No, it's simply proof that you're investing your insight in places that don't value it. So when bitterness shows up for you, projector, it's not a sign to harden or push more. It's actually a sign to soften. Bitterness is your body's way of saying, wait, step back, and rest. Because your guidance belongs where it will be received, not where it falls flat. Your wisdom lands best where it's invited. And so a question that might support you is, where in my life am I giving my energy without recognition? And just like frustration for generators, bitterness isn't contained. Projector's aura is focused and penetrating. So when you're bitter, that penetration feels sharp. Others can feel it as judgment, even when you're quiet, which is why honoring your rhythm, resting, and waiting for recognition matters so much. It protects not just you, but your relationships. Now let's talk about anger, the not self team of manifestors. Now let's talk about anger, the not self theme of manifestors. Anger for a manifestor can feel really sudden and fiery and hot. It rises when someone tries to control you, manage you, or silence your creative fire. It's that explosive, just let me move energy that bursts out when your autonomy is blocked. So frustration is like the engine revving in park. Anger is more like a wildfire that's been dammed up and suddenly breaks through. It doesn't trickle, it surges. Think about a manifestor child told, don't be so bossy, or you can't just do whatever you want. That child can quickly learn to suppress their instinct, and then the anger builds. As adults, manifestors often carry that same conditioning. Soften yourself, don't rock the boat, ask permission. But anger isn't wrong. Anger is sacred. It's your body's way of saying that your freedom is being constrained and that your urge isn't being honored. So when anger shows up, it's a chance to check in, to ask, where am I being held back? Where do I need to inform to clear the space for my movement? Where do I need to trust my inner fire again? And when anger is honored for a manifestor, well, then something beautiful happens. That same fiery energy that once erupted in anger becomes the force that sparks movements, initiates projects, starts revolutions. Anger points you back to your fire. Anger points you back to your power manifester. And finally, we come to the rarest type, the reflectors, whose signal of misalignment is disappointment. And disappointment can feel like a letdown, like the air is going out of a balloon. It's opposite from the manifester where it's like quite sudden and erupts. It's more like a quiet sadness of not living up to what you had hoped. For reflectors, this often comes from rushing decisions, committing too quickly, or being in environments that aren't healthy because you absorb everything. So when the environment is off, you feel it deeply, and the result is disappointment. It's like, I thought this community would be nourishing, but it's not, or I committed too fast and now I'm stuck. And it's not drama, it's simply the wisdom of openness, reflecting back that this isn't right for you. Disappointment doesn't mean that you're picky or impossible to please. It's just your wisdom saying, this isn't nourishing you. This isn't the environment where you'll thrive. And so let's reframe disappointment as sacred guidance, the signal to give more time, to walk with your lunar cycle, and to choose environments that feed your body and your spirit. So when disappointment shows up, reflector, it's not about lowering your expectations. It's a signal to tend to your environment, to slow down, and to trust that clarity will come with time. So a question that might support you is, where in my environment am I noticing letdowns or flatness? And what changes could I make to create more surprise and delight? And when a reflector feels surprise, their signature of alignment, it's like the opposite. It's delight, it's wonder, it's life saying, see, when you wait, when you honor your rhythm, look what opens up for you. So let's take a breath here. Frustration, bitterness, anger, disappointment, these are not shame signals. They're guidance signals. They're the sacred dashboard lights of your design. And when they show up, the invitation isn't to push harder, to push it down, or to shame yourself. It's to pause, to listen, to ask what truth your body is trying to show you right now. If you're a parent, notice how powerful this can be with your kids. A generator child who's frustrated might not be lazy or misbehaving. They're probably pouring energy into something that doesn't light them up. Or a projector child who's bitter might not be ungrateful. They may just not feel seen. So naming these signals for our littles gives them permission to trust themselves from the very beginning. And I see this reframe happening in my family right now. When my manifesting generator oldest daughter is frustrated, instead of trying to correct her behavior, I now try as often as I can to ask, what would feel fun for you? Or when my projector son feels bitter, I look for ways to recognize him, to let him know that I see his wisdom. When my husband, who's also manifesting generator, is in frustration, I know it's not him being moody. It's just his sacral saying no. And these signals help me to love them better. And it helps them to trust themselves more deeply also, because every time frustration, bitterness, anger, or disappointment appears, it's not proof that you're broken. It's just proof that your system is working and calling you back home. And that's beautiful. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't always see it like that. For years, I thought frustration meant I wasn't working hard enough, that I was ungrateful, or that I just needed more discipline. I would literally look at myself in the mirror and berate myself. I thought irritation was something to push through or to fix with my willpower. My masculine mind wanted to control my feminine emotions. And when I ignored that, I ended up even more drained, even more resentful. It wasn't until I found human design that I realized, okay, frustration is my compass. It's my sacral telling me, Julie, you're pouring energy into the wrong thing. And once I started honoring that, once I started building my capacity to sit in the tension of knowing what isn't working, but not yet feeling my way into what will work, and really sit in that uncomfortable in-between, everything shifted. I could stop beating myself up for the feelings that thought I meant I was failing, and I could stop waiting to feel joy until my mind figured out the next steps. This wasn't a failure, it was just feedback, and I'm so grateful for it. So if you take one thing from today, please let it be that your not self theme isn't a flaw. It's your body's wisdom speaking. Frustration, bitterness, anger, and disappointment, these are invitations. They're guiding you home, back into alignment, back into the design that was always meant to feel good. And in the next episode, we're going to talk about why we get stuck here. If these signals are designed to guide us, then why do we keep circling back to them? Why do we override them or ignore them? And that's where conditioning has come in. And that's what we'll dive into next. So until then, remember this. Your signals are sacred and they're always leading you home. Until next time.